there is a symbolic death where your friends and family celebrate you and your body is put into the ground. And then there is your memorial death, which is the last time that your name is spoken on earth. Okay. And as you build into other people, as you invest in other people, as you are helping them, there's a part of you that lives on within them, and your impact lasts far beyond your lifetime. It's something that's going to have an impact on the world into the future. Even after you are gone, the influence that you have will be there. And that to me it's kind of something to build into, to say, I want to make the world around me better. I want to improve the lives of the people around me, and not just in the, give them a fish, but in the teach them to fish and, build them up and make, basically to serve other people.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Ability Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today's guest is Rob, and man, this guy is incredible. He's already helped me a lot. We had a good long conversation, and he's just out here trying to help others just like I am, which is absolutely incredible. So, Rob, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, thanks for having me on the podcast. I am honored to be here. So I am 51, I'll be 52 this year. I acquired a disability when I was 21 years old. So I've been doing this disability thing for over 30 years. And I have quadriplegia. So what that means is I have limited use of my arms and hands and am paralyzed basically from the chest down. I live in Pittsburgh, got a beautiful wife, got 3 wonderful kids, and just trying to do my thing, man.
Yeah, that's incredible. And, as you know, that's what I do. We just keep going, keep doing our thing. And, what we do, really helps others, which is really awesome. And you're just phenomenal. When we're on a call, I'm all about mindset, and there was a few things that you helped me shift in my own mindset. So I'm truly grateful for the conversation we had. So I can't wait to roll into this.
Yeah. So it is one of the things I think is so important for people to understand is that everybody has issues. Everybody's got problems. Everybody's got limitations.
Yeah.
And I think it was the great basketball coach, John Wooden, who said, no one ever achieved greatness by focusing on what they can't do. And so when we're going through life, it is figuring out what is it that you're good at? What are your capabilities? And how do you use that to make a positive impact on the world around you? And that's not a message about disability. That's a message about humanity from my perspective.
Yep, I agree 100%. It's all about what you can do, not what you can't do. I love it. And when you focus more on what you can do, and focus less on the things that you can't, like doors just kind of open up, like you see things differently, and you kind of, it's easier to push yourself to do more because you're like, hey, I did this, let's see what else I can do. That's kind of what I experience all the time.
Yeah, it's learning your limitations. It's learning the extent of your capabilities. And what I mean by learning your limitations, again, it's not focusing on what you can't do. It is finding out what are the extents of what you can do. What's the edge of the envelope? And the only way to test the full extent of your capabilities is to push towards the brink of failure. It's, and you'll find out there are times when you do things and be like, hey, that didn't work like I hoped, or no, that wasn't something I can do. And so you got to adapt. But to me, as I go through life, everything I experience is a learning opportunity.
Yes.
And rather than it being something that says, okay, that this didn't work, let's quit. Say, okay, this didn't work. Why didn't it work? Is there a way to approach it differently so that maybe next time it will work? It's all about learning from the experiences that you go through and growing with that. And that's, I mean, when you talk about mindset, the classic understanding is there is the set mindset and there is the growth mindset. And the set says, like, I'm good, I am where I want to be, and I don't need to adapt, I don't need to grow, I'm good with what I have. And that growth mindset is what I think you and I are working towards, to say, listen, how do we improve? How do we move forward? How do we go? Isn't it the Olympics where the slogan is faster, higher, farther? And that's really what we're looking at.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a constant growth. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, some people, they look at personal development as like, okay, I want to get here. I'm down here. I want to get up here. It's not really like that. It's more of like, let's see where I can go throughout my whole life and just improve every day. That's one thing I focus on, is I want to improve myself every day. So I'm constantly learning and constantly focused on the way that I think, the way that I talk, the way that I interact with others. Everything can improve.
Yep. And I completely agree with you. And I also believe that in doing that, we encourage growth in the people around us, because as
Yes.
we grow, as we increase our knowledge, as we increase our understanding of how things work, it gives us an opportunity to be of service to other people. And ultimately, to me, life is about improving the world around me and making the world a better place. I had a friend of mine who kind of blew my mind with this. He talked about the different kinds of death. And I'm not trying to be morbid here, but
Yep.
bear with me, okay? So
Okay.
there is like the physical death, and that's when you breathe your last. There is the memorial death, and that's where your body is put into the ground. Sorry, let me back up on that. There is the physical death, which is when you breathe your last. There is the so now I got myself all confused on what I was going to say. Let me work through this one more time.
Okay.
Okay, and you're going to have to edit this, so hopefully, there is physical death where you breathe your last. There is a symbolic death where your friends and family celebrate you and your body is put into the ground. And then there is your memorial death, which is the last time that your name is spoken on earth. Okay. And as you build into other people, as you invest in other people, as you are helping them, there's a part of you that lives on within them, and your impact lasts far beyond your lifetime. It's something that's going to have an impact on the world into the future. Even after you are gone, the influence that you have will be there. And that, to me, is it's kind of something to build into, to say, I want to make the world around me better. I want to improve the lives of the people around me, and not just in the, give them a fish, but in the teach them to fish, and, build them up and make, and basically to serve other people.
Exactly. It is so important, and it's that lasting impact. The like, you're talking about, death. It's like, when I'm gone, I still want to be here. I still want, people who I've impacted to remember me, remember what I did, just make that lasting impact. And I think that's super powerful.
Yeah.
So,
And that shows up in a lot of different ways. So for me,
yeah.
some of that shows up in advocacy,
Mm-hmm.
where I am working to make an impact for the disability community. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm honored to be able to be part of a couple state state associations and councils that are helping people with disabilities, and able to be involved in some national level advocacy, in some local advocacy, all of those things, just to try and make things better for people with disabilities. But I also believe that as we make changes for people with disabilities, that it's going to have an impact on society at large. And we should be looking bigger picture than just ourselves. It should be that we're looking to make, that for me, I live in Pennsylvania, and I'm looking to make Pennsylvania a better place for everyone to live, not just people with disabilities.
Exactly. I love that. And I know that you speak on stages. So would you want to tell us more about that? What you like to cover, how you would like to help people every time you get on a stage?
Sure. So let me kind of back things up, and I'll give you the story on how I started speaking, and then we can kind of roll from there.
That'd be awesome.
So I grew up, my dad was a pastor, and so I grew up in a church where I had an opportunity to speak every now and then and talk to kids, different things. After my injury, when I was 21, I had some folks come and say, like, hey, can you come speak to my youth organization? Can you come speak at my kids' school? Can you speak to my company? Just those kind of different opportunities were showing up. And I basically went and told the story of my injury and told a couple of things about what I had learned, and people loved it. And I really struggled with it because it was like, I don't find it to be very special. And I feel like I go everywhere and I say the same thing, and I feel like everybody's heard it. And yet every time I go, I'm getting people come up to me and say that it made an impact. So at some point I just, I went on and I got a regular job. I was doing training for medical students about disability awareness. I was doing some advocacy work. And in the meantime, I still had those opportunities to speak and to make an impact that way. So it was about 6 years ago, I had an opportunity to go out on my own and become a full-time speaker. And there are a couple topics that are near and dear to me. Number one, having experienced the ups and downs, the good, bad, and ugly of the medical world, I speak about quality healthcare from a patient's perspective. And that has actually inspired me. I have a podcast called Perspectives on Healthcare, where I interview medical professionals and patients about their thoughts on quality healthcare. What is it? What it is? What are some examples? And how can it be improved? So that's kind of the main topic that I talk about is quality healthcare. I also do some messages about resilience, about how to handle the difficult experiences that we have in our life. And you and I talked about this, and to me, it's important to make it an understanding. My presentation is not one where it's like, hey, I sit in a wheelchair and I can't use half of my body, and look at the things that I've accomplished. What are you doing with yourself? It is listen, we all have limitations. We all have issues. Yeah. How do we find our capabilities and maximize those to have, to be who we can be, to make the impact that we were built for? And it's that approach, rather than kind of I'm the example and you should feel bad about yourself. So it's
exactly.
But I do. So those are two of them. In October, I am passionate about disability and employment. It's difficult for me when you look at the statistics surrounding disability and employment. And the reason I say October is passionate about it. October is Disability Employment Awareness Month.
Yep.
The employment rate in the United States is about 55 to 60%, meaning that 55 or 60% of all of the people in the United States are employed in some fashion or another. Now, that includes people that are retired, that includes kids that are in school. So it's telling you that a lot of people in the United States are working.
Yeah.
The statistic for people with disabilities is 18 to 19% are employed. And so to me, it's how do we help people with disabilities get into the employment world to find jobs? And some of that is on employers. Some of that is on government programs. Some of that is on the expectations and baggage that people with disabilities have been laden with because they've been told you can't and you can't and you can't. So I'm passionate about, like, how do we help people with disabilities to become employed and become more financially independent. And so I think you and I are on the same page with this, because I look at employment, and then I look at the next step, which is entrepreneurship. And building a business where my earning potential grows exponentially because it is my business, and I'm the one who is, in charge of finding the business, in charge of what I am offering as far as services, what I'm charging, all of those things. And sadly, many of the people with disabilities who are employed are in a nonprofit world where there are real constraints on earning potential. So to me, I'm all about entrepreneurship for people with disabilities, but that's something I could go on and on about. So that, to answer your question, the three main topics I cover: quality healthcare as it relates to medical professionals, resilience as it relates to all of us, and then disability and employment as it relates to employers, as it relates to government programs, and as it relates to individuals with disabilities.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I want to back up a little bit, because you talked about the next step being entrepreneurship for people with disabilities, and that's a lot of what this podcast is about. It's about encouraging others. Figure out, can you do something to help others, and then turn that into a business, because that's what entrepreneurship is. It's figuring out what you can do to help others, and then basically getting paid to do it. But just that's as easy as I can make it seem. That's it.
Yep. So let me kind of riff on that for a little bit. Okay. Because I've had the experience. My disability is a stable disability, meaning that it's going to be the same tomorrow and the day after and the day after. And there are times when that is just, it's overwhelming. It's like, this sucks. It's hard. And it's not going to be any easier tomorrow. And I'm going to be dealing with the same issues over and over and over again. And I crash, right? And it's like, I hate this. This is not good. But when that happens, it doesn't take too long for me to understand that the way out of that funk, the way out of that feeling and experience, is to look for an opportunity to serve other people.
Exactly.
And in serving others, it gives us purpose, it gives us value, it gives us strength. And in doing that, that's kind of fits right in with the model that you're talking about. What is it that you can do to be helpful to others. And
Yeah.
I think the key to what you said is, how do I get paid for it?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of people with disabilities who are encouraged to do volunteer work. And
Mm-hmm.
I understand that as it relates to, if you're on Social Security disability, you have limited earning potential and all of those
Yeah.
things. But let's talk about what the opportunities are to actually get some financial compensation for it. And it is, yeah, like you and I could probably talk about this for a long time, but
Oh
it
yeah.
is one of the ways in which people with disabilities have a unique skill set and a unique vantage point, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding, and listen, how many times have you seen the advertisement on TV about the woman and her son has autism and he has some allergies to the different cleaning products that were out there, and so she started making soap, and
Mm-hmm.
now she and her son have a soap making business that is ideal for people who have allergies to some of the things that are in regular soap, and or the there's a dad and a son who started a sock business uh, for that, or specifically for individuals that have some issues with their legs and feet, and like it's you're seeing opportunities, you're seeing solutions to those opportunities, and you're seeing a way that it's not just it's not just that you have talent that you can give, but that talent has a price tag on it and is being appreciated financially, not just with a pat on the back or a thank you.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of entrepreneurs, like myself, I dealt with a problem, I found a solution, and now I'm helping people fix that solution for themselves. That's yeah. So it's like when some of us, if we start thinking, okay, I want to start my own business, you can get overwhelmed, going, okay, what am I gonna do? Just think about something that you solve for yourself, and then can you solve that problem for somebody else, and enjoy doing it. That's like the bonus if you actually enjoy it, which sometimes you don't enjoy it right away, but then if you just do it, just stick to it, you will start to enjoy it.
Yeah. So let me just give you a couple things on that. Number one,
Okay.
if you're wondering what you're good at and you're just not sure, I would say ask 5 of your
Yes.
friends or family members and say, hey, what is it that I'm good at? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and they will tell you.
Yep.
The second thing is, you've got to make a decision about whether or not what you're going to do is going to be enjoyable. And
Mm-hmm.
I will use my daughter as an example. She is an amazing baker.
Mm-hmm.
She makes cookies, cupcakes, cakes, and they're not just incredible looking creations. They are amazing. They're tasty. They're wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you could make a killing
Yep.
if you just started your own baking business. And so I tried to encourage her with that, and she doesn't want to do it because she says this is what I do for fun, and if you take
Mm-hmm.
what I do for fun and you make it a business, then it's not fun anymore and I don't enjoy it anymore. And so you've got to have, there's the counterbalance on both sides.
There is.
If it's
Yeah.
if it's something that you enjoy doing and it becomes a business and now you don't enjoy doing it, that's
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But the other side of it is, if you're wondering what you've got to offer, ask those around you, and they will happily tell you what your strengths are and what you bring to the table, and really help you to kind of get an idea of where you can go with your business.
Yeah, I love that you said that because, at the start of my entrepreneurial journey, I was trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. And my coach brought that up. She was like, ask your family, your friends, what you're good at, how they helped you, all that. So I sent a mass text out to like 50 people and I just said, okay, here's what I need. Just let me know. And everybody responded, and I realized a lot about myself that I didn't really know. Just because it's hard for you to see exactly like yourself or you do, how you help people sometimes because like you may not think that you're helping people, but you actually are. So yeah, it's really good to reach out to the people that you're around and ask, what am I good at?
Yeah. So I'll tell you a funny story.
Okay.
At least it's funny to me. And that is when I was speaking, when I started speaking,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to avoid using the word inspirational because I don't find myself to be particularly inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what I do is what anybody would do given my situation, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for independence. I'm looking for, um, you know, self-actualization. I mean, all of those things that I'm pursuing.
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel right marketing myself as being inspirational because
Mm-hmm.
my message isn't like, hey, look at me and you should be more like me.
No.
But after doing a number of presentations and looking at the feedback that I was getting from the audiences,
Mm-hmm.
the audience feedback was it's inspirational. He's
Yeah.
inspirational. And so it, based on what the audience was getting out of it, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't my intent, but it was what they got. So that now becomes part of my marketing to
Yep.
say, it's an inspirational message about resilience or an inspirational message about healthcare. The that the words come in based on the feedback that you're getting.
It does, and I experienced the same thing. I started out, you know, I I'm not an influencer. I'm not inspirational. This is me just talking about what I've gone through, what's helped me, how I overcome things. And yeah, I got the same feedback. You're so inspirational. And it's like I hear it daily, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I am. So we're just gonna embrace it and just continue to help people, with that.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I laugh when people tell me about the things that I've overcome, right? And I'm like, I really haven't overcome anything. And here's what I mean. Like, I still am in a wheelchair. I still can't walk.
Hmm.
I still have limited use of my arms and hands. I have not overcome my disability in the slightest. It is still exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Uh, all I've figured out is how do I engage the world in a positive way? How do I engage the world in a way that makes a difference in the lives of those around me? And I wouldn't, it, you know, as far as classifying that as overcoming, I'm not sure if that's how I would view the word, but I hear it the same way that you do.
Yeah, and like for me, like you said, it's not overcoming. I didn't overcome anything, but I made it work. I look at it more like that. Like I make it work.
That's it.
I didn't overcome my disability. Like you said, it's still the same. Hasn't changed, but I'm making it work. I'm making it work for my life. I'm figuring out what works for me, what I can do.
Yeah. And I think the key to what you said is we make it work.
Yep.
And that to me, again, to loop back to that message, is a universal message
Hmm.
for people,
Anyone.
anyone who is human. Say,
Hmm.
okay, I'm not good at math, or I make fun of my sister because I have a physical impairment. She has a geographic impairment. She could get lost on her way from her bedroom to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Just, and so like everybody's got issues, everybody's got limitations.
Yep.
Um, but figure out what is it that you're good at and how do you use that tool to be a positive impact.
Yep. How to use that tool to help other people. That's exactly it.
Yeah. And it, it doesn't matter, you know, where you're coming from. You've got unique experiences. It doesn't matter what the limitations are. And I will also say it doesn't matter what other people's limitations or expectations are of you. And let me give you a story that I think illustrates this. One of my very first paid speaking engagements, I had done the contract with my full name, Robert Oliver. And the meeting planner took that, and when they made my name tag was Bob Oliver. And I'm like, I don't know what to do, because I want to work with this meeting planner again. I don't want to tell them like, hey, my name is wrong. And then to make matters worse, as I was, standing there by the welcome desk, she said, here, let me pin it on for you. And she puts it on my shirt. So now I've got this name tag that says my name's Bob, and it's stuck to me. And like, what am I going to do? So as I leave that area, someone sees the name tag and sees that it has the speaker thing at the very bottom of it, and is like, oh, this is our speaker. And your name's Bob. And then he hollers to his friend like, hey, come over here. I want you to meet Bob. He's our speaker today. I'm like, And eventually what I decided to do was I went, there was like a coat closet off to the side, and I went in there, and it took me probably 10 minutes or so to finally get that name tag off. And I talked to the person who was going to do my introduction, and we fixed it so that my name was Rob in the introduction, and that we made a joke about my name being Bob, which backwards is Bob, as opposed to Rob, which backwards is bore. And I hope that I'm not boring, but just kind of little make light of it. But what I learned that day is sometimes people stick labels on us. They're not labels that we came up with. They are things that they believe, but they stick them to us. And as long as we allow those labels to stick, other people are going to think that they're true, right? So the guy who sees my name being Bob, he thinks that's what it is because that's what the label says. What we need to do is we need to decide which labels we accept, which labels we do not accept. And the only person that can remove those labels is you. And you've got to make a decision to do that. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it takes a lot of effort, but you're in charge of what labels stick and what labels come off. And those labels are going to be how people view you and how people define you. So it's imperative to make sure that you're taking off the ones that you don't agree with.
I agree 100%. I absolutely love that. That's something that I talk about a lot. Is we get a label, and sometimes it sticks, and just one label can change your whole life. So make sure that you take control, and make sure which ones stick and which ones don't. I love that.
Absolutely.
So, do you have any last words of wisdom that you would like to share?
So I want to just kind of sum up what we've talked about this way. We've talked about the fact that you don't achieve greatness by looking at your limitations. We've talked about the fact that you utilize the strengths and abilities that you have to serve the people around you and to really see how far and you can go with them. And let me just throw out a couple things that, to me, I think are accomplishments and things to be proud of. So for me, as a speaker, I have twice won the Best of Award as the top-rated motivational speaker in the city of Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
I have 3 books that I have written, and 2 of them are autobiographical. One of them is a children's anti-bullying book, and one of the autobiographical books has been translated into Spanish. All 4 of those books have achieved bestseller status, which is pretty cool. And then I mentioned my Perspectives on Healthcare podcast. And with that, I set a Guinness World Record by interviewing 137 patients over the course of 37 hours, 44 minutes, and 17 seconds, a record which has recently been broken, but they can't take away the fact that I set it in the first place.
Yep.
But I tell you all that to say that I'm not just trying to spout off and give you a bunch of platitudes that say, figure out what you can do and do them well.
Mhm.
Figure out what you can do and don't just do it well, but excel.
Yeah.
Do it to the fullest extent of your ability, and
Mhm.
you can accomplish amazing things. And I believe that, and I feel like it's something that we all need to be reminded of, and it's a belief that we all need to take to heart about ourselves.
I agree so much. Yeah, like we just figure out what you can do, and that's gonna roll nicely into my next question, which is my slogan is your abilities are infinite. So what does that mean to you?
What I love about it is, let me give you, first of all, the counterpoint.
Okay.
And the counterpoint is your limitations are finite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can make the list of your limitations, and it is a finite list.
Mm-hmm.
When it talks about your abilities being infinite, it is the ways in which you work around the limitations, the ways in which you utilize your strengths and abilities are, like you say, they are unlimited. There is no end to how you approach your abilities. I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
When I was in rehab, I spent 6 months in rehab immediately following my injury. And my occupational therapist asked me, so what do you want to do? And I was like, well, you know what the level of my injury is. You know what I'm capable of. You tell me what goals you would set, and I'll work really hard to achieve those. And she said, no, this is you. This is your life. You tell me what you want to do, and I will work with you to accomplish those goals. You may not do it like you used to do it. You may not do it like everybody else does it. And it may take a lot of creativity and perseverance to get it done. But whatever it is that you set your mind to, you will be able to accomplish. And I think that really ties in with what you're talking about. It takes perseverance, it takes creativity, but if you're willing to invest the time and the energy to pursue those abilities and to strengthen those abilities, the sky's the limit, so to speak.
It really is a beautiful story, and you hit that spot on. I love it. So, can you list off the names of all your books so then people know what to look for, and then also your social media or anywhere else you would like people to find you?
Sure. So I'm on most social media at Your Keynoter, and I've got, the books are Still Walking is my original autobiography. A friend of mine said, this is really positive, but do you just have everything work out for you in the end? I'm like, no. So I wrote a sequel, which is called Still Falling. And that one is a reminder that even if you have a positive outlook and are out there in the world doing things, you're still going to tip your wheelchair over in the middle of the street. And that one is 20 life lessons from 20 stories. And very, very cool. The kids' anti-bullying book is called Who, Me, Yeah, You. And then the easiest way to find me is yourkeynotespeaker.com. Again, it's yourkeynotespeaker.com. And there are links on there to the podcast and about what I speak about, and contact me. I'd just love to hear from any of your listeners that are, have learned something today.
That's awesome. And I'll put all the links to everything down in the show notes so everybody can find you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, Rob, this was incredible. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad that we connected and started this friendship. It's going to be really cool. So thank you.
Yep. I feel like this is the beginning of something good, and I really appreciate you having me on, and I'm just honored to be part of this.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me here, the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.